Welcome to Sharsheret's 2024 Tri-State Benefit Summer Barbecue. Please welcome Sharsheret CEO, Alana Silber.
Wow, okay. Welcome and thank you for joining us during these challenging times to support Sharsheret's core mission to improve lives and save lives in the face of cancer. We begin tonight's program by reciting a chapter of Tehillim, of Psalms, for all the women and men of Sharsheret who are in need of a speedy recovery and for the safety of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Shir Lamalod, Esa Einai El Haharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri, Ezri Me'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz, Al Yitain Lamot Raglecha, Al Yanum Shomrecha, Hine Lo Yanum V'Lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael, Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai Tzilcha, Al Yad Yaminecha, Yomam HaShemesh Lo Yakeka V'Yareach Balayla, Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Et Nafshecha, Adonai Yishmor Tzeitcha Ovoecha Mi'atah V'Ad Olam. Tonight's program is dedicated in loving memory of Sarah Rudolph Olshin as we commemorate the first yahrzeit, the anniversary of her passing. Sarah was one of the very first volunteers who helped establish Sharsheret back in 2001. At that time, she served as the public relations liaison, and she remained a devoted volunteer for more than 20 years. I remember her helping guide us in the development of our programs and services, always with an eye on the women who are living with cancer. Sarah herself was a beneficiary of Sharsheret's programs through every stage of her own breast cancer experience. The tragic loss of Sarah, a personal friend of mine and so many in the room, has left a deep hole at Sharsheret, and we really miss her. I am deeply grateful and honored to announce that Sarah's family has dedicated a specialized program focused on art and healing, an outlet near and dear to Sarah's heart. The Sarah Rudolph Olshin Creative Art Experience, it will bring women together to support each other through the power of art, creating community and strength, and it will carry on Sarah's legacy for years to come. You can read more about this wonderful initiative in your programs. And now please join me in welcoming Sarah's husband, Ira Olshin, to lead us in tonight's siyum.
Thank you, Alana. Thank you all for coming out this evening to pay tribute to the memory of my dear wife, Sarah Rudolph Olshin, Aleha Shalom. Sarah's love for and desire to connect with Sharsheret was a long time coming. To paraphrase a favorite production of Sarah's, the musical Hamilton, she was one of a few who were in the room when it happened. When the wonderfully talented, brilliant, and most thoughtful Rochelle Shoretz, Ruchi, Aleha Shalom, who at a very young age was facing her own mortality, conceived of the idea and understood the need to create an effort, eventually an organization which she would call Sharsheret, to connect and educate women in the Jewish community battling breast cancer. Over the subsequent years, Sarah marveled at Sharsheret's growth and accomplishments under the stewardship of Ruchi and her most worthy successor, Alana Silber. Thank you all for giving your support to Sharsheret, a cause so dear to Sarah's heart. Thank you to Alana, the incredible staff and volunteers at Sharsheret who made Sarah's and our family's life more manageable and easier during the challenging times in the battle with cancer. Finally, I want to express my appreciation, especially to my dear mother-in-law, Mrs. Hedda Rudolph, and my dear mother, and all our dear relatives and friends who have so generously given of their time and support to honor Sarah's memory through Sharsheret. I chose to learn for tonight's Siyum Masechet Ta'anit, the tractate that deals with communal fasts. This year has been a most challenging one for the people of Israel and for Jews around the world. We are now bookended by two fasts, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, the 3 weeks commemorating the twice destruction of the temple in Jerusalem and the exile of the Jewish people from their homeland. In Talmudic times, various fasts were instituted when rainfall was delayed beyond its expected times in Eretz Yisrael, as well as when there was an Eit Sarah, a time of great difficulty or tragedy. We unfortunately have been and now are experiencing an Eit Sarah. The purpose of fasts was to redirect ourselves, to realize our dependence on God, to call and cry out to God, to look at our own deeds, and to ultimately bring us to do tshuva, repent, by reevaluating our lives and directing us to be truthful to our end of the covenant with God, to devote our lives to following His mitzvot, His commandments, ben adam lemakom and ben adam lechavero, between man and God and between man and his fellow man. A great part of that, as indicated in the prophecy of Yeshayahu, which we read as the Haftorah on Yom Kippur Day, to care for the less fortunate or for our brothers and sisters during their challenging times. The tractate introduces different stories of our great sages and the communities living in Israel and Babylonia who in times of drought or other great difficulty engage in these fasts and engage in communal prayer to God. Sometimes they were answered. Other times, the response from heaven was further delayed. The tractate on Daf Kaf Hey Amud Bet relays the story when there was a great drought in the land of Israel, and the great Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus proclaimed 13 fast days for the community and led the people in the special prayers that were instituted for these fasts. And despite all efforts, their prayers remained unanswered. Whereupon the great Rabbi Akiva went down before the Aron to lead the community in prayer, the conclusion of which led to a response from heaven, and the rains began to fall. The rabbis began murmuring against Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus, and they took this as an indication that Rabbi Akiva was a greater tzaddik. Thereupon a bat kol, a heavenly voice, went forth and declared, Lo b'pnei shezeh gadol mizeh, ela shezeh ma'avir al midotav, v'zeh eno ma'avir al midotav. Not because this one, Rabbi Akiva, is greater than the other, but rather because this one, Rabbi Akiva, is a forgiving person, whereas that one, Rabbi Eliezer, is not a forgiving person. Since Rabbi Akiva was a forgiving person, God acted likewise toward him, forgave the sins of the people, and blessed them with rain. An important message that should not be lost in our communities. The tractate ends with an upbeat message, a few lines of which I will read to conclude. May we all and our brothers and sisters in Israel and around the world merit to realize B'sorot Tovot, Refuot, Yeshuot, Unechamot, speedily in our days. Amar Ula Bira'a, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasot Machol L'Tzadikim, V'hu Yoshev B'neihem B'Gan Eden. Ula Bira'a said in the name of Rabbi Elazar, in the future, in the end of days, the Holy One, blessed is He, will make a machol, a circle of all the righteous people, and He will sit among them in the middle of the circle in the Garden of Eden. V'chol echad ve'echad mar'eh be'etzba'o, and each and every one will point with his finger toward God. Shneimar v'omar bayom hahu, Hinei Eloheinu zeh, kivinu lo v'yoshienu. Zeh Hashem kivinu lo, nagila v'nismecha b'shuato. As the verse in Yeshayahu states, he shall say on that day, behold, this is our God. We hoped to him, and he saved us. This is Hashem, to whom we hoped. Let us exult and be glad in his salvation. The great Rav Yaakov Emden Zatzal noted the Talmud's choice of the word machol, here for the circle that God will establish of the righteous people. And the word machol has the same shoresh, the same root letters, as appears in the word machal or mochel, to forgive. Rav Emden suggests that the Talmud may be implying that the people of Israel as a whole will rise to the occasion in the future, whereby Hashem will forgive them for their shortcomings, and all of Israel will merit to join the circle, as the Navi Yeshayahu states, Ve'amech kulam sadikim leolam yeshu aretz, netzer matai maseh yadai lehitpaer. That we can all endeavor to be part of the circle, to be a link in the chain, in the Sharsheret, that will allow each of us to ultimately realize a greater connection to our Creator.
Please welcome Sharsheret Board President Jordana Nadrich.
Welcome to Sharsheret's Tri-State Barbecue. A special welcome and thank you to those you recognize this evening, Karen Ehrenfeld and Sydney and Daniel Silvermans. And thank you to Ira Olshin, who led us in this evening's inspiring Siyum service. I would like to take a moment to remember our dear founder, Rochelle Shoretz, whose vision and brilliance created the foundation on which Sharsheret has been built. We have many to thank this evening. Our generous event supporters, Daiichi Sankyo, King's Pharmacy, Merck and Medisure, and community partners, AEFI, the Foundation at Cross River, and daily giving. Thank you to devoted event chairs and committee for making tonight such a meaningful success. Thank you to our Jewel Circle members, those who commit to Sharsheret annually with gifts of $5,000 or more. You will notice some of us wearing Sharsheret gold necklaces. These are exclusive gifts for Sharsheret jewels and a way for all of us to raise awareness as Sharsheret ambassadors. To our incredible and talented staff and our barbecue production team for your thoughtfulness and dedication in planning and executing on every detail of this event. To my colleagues on the Sharsheret boards who are here with us tonight. And to you, we are so grateful to each and every one of you for supporting thousands of Jewish women, men, and families at risk or living with breast or ovarian cancer. Last year, I humbly accepted an award at this very same event. Tonight, I am honored to pass the torch to an esteemed finance professional, a loving wife and a mother, and someone who I am proud to call my dear friend. She turned to Sharsheret when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had the unique privilege of supporting her in her experience, and I am inspired by her resilience and her strength. Today, she selflessly serves as a dedicated cancer advocate, helping other women cope through their own cancer journeys. Please turn your attention to the screen to learn more about tonight's Woman of Valor, Karen Ehrenfeld.
Unfortunately, I am no stranger to cancer. My grandfather had passed away from colon cancer. My grandmother had breast cancer. And my mother, in December 2021, had passed away from a long, hard-fought battle with kidney cancer. For many years, I had been pushing off a surgery that I had been meaning to do. I had a lot of pain and discomfort and decided to do a breast reduction as a result. And unfortunately, with that surgery, about a week later, I had found out that I had breast cancer. I feel this was a gift from my mother because for so many years she had pushed me to do the surgery and I was just too busy. If I had picked any other time to do the surgery, it may have been too soon to have caught the cancer, and it may have been too late where the cancer would have progressed. Not having my mom by my side through a diagnosis and the surgery was very, very difficult, but I have to say that my husband, Steve, and my father really stepped up to the plate and were my caregivers unlike anything you can imagine.
It's a unique role that you have to fill because on one hand, you need to provide care for your loved one who has just been through surgery. On the other hand, you have to maintain a household.
Right after I was diagnosed, I was fortunate to be introduced to Jordana Nadridge. Jordana was my guardian angel. There's no better way to put it.
When I first spoke with Karen and I listened to her diagnosis and her story, I knew immediately that I wanted to connect her to Sharsheret and that Sharsheret could help guide her, support her, from a peer support network to individual guidance from social workers to support for her children, her husband, her father.
When you get a diagnosis like that, you don't even know where to start. One of the first people that I was connected with at Sharsheret was my social worker, and she was incredible at not just supporting me through what I was feeling and going through, but also providing incredible resources. That's really all you really want when you get this diagnosis, is to talk to people who can hold your hand, guide you through the process, who have pretty recently been there.
It's okay not to have all the answers up front, but there is this amazing organization that can provide you facts, can provide you emotional support, guidance, and it really makes a difference.
Karen's enthusiasm and passion for all she's received from Sharsheret has propelled her to want to give back to the organization, and I'm so excited to work with her as she continues to support other women through Sharsheret.
At the time, I had this really crazy career and job, and I had 2 little kids, and you don't think that something like this can happen to you, but it can. And if it weren't for Sharsheret, I don't think I would have been prepared to deal with it the way that I did.
Please welcome this year's Woman of Valor, Karen Ehrenfeld.
Please welcome Sharsheret Chief Development Officer, Dina Muskin-Goldberg.
At Sharsheret, we understand all too well that breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and genetic mutations run in families wherever they live and are diagnosed no matter what is happening around the world, even in the face of war. Dr. Sharon Galper-Grossman, a member of Sharsheret's medical board, recently described what it's like to get a mammogram in Israel, and I quote, "The phone call from Maccabi surprised me. Schedule a mammogram? Don't they realize that we are in the middle of a war for our survival? Early detection and screening are concepts that feel like a luxury that we cannot have in the midst of a war. But this is not a 6-day war. Since October 7th, there have been fewer cancers diagnosed. But this does not mean that cancer has disappeared. It means that these cancers will be diagnosed later, at a less curable stage. It took a moment to get past my initial surprise and understand the importance of cancer prevention, even in a time of war. This year, with the launch of our new Israel office, Sharsheret can provide life-changing support and life-saving information to families facing cancer, ensuring they too understand the importance of cancer prevention, especially during wartime. In the last 3 months, we've hit the ground running, scheduling life-saving educational events in Ra'anana, Tel Aviv, Efrat, and Jerusalem, and the calls from women and men reaching out for support are on the rise and are much higher than we had initially projected. Tonight, with a generous matching grant of $50,000 from a private foundation in Israel, you can double the impact of your support and ensure that we can continue to meet the increasing demand for Sharsheret's programs and services. Make an additional donation tonight by scanning the QR code on the screen or in your program, or if your cell service is as good as mine is, you can fill out your donor card that is on your seat. Sharsheret staff are standing by to collect your cards. Together, we can ensure a healthier future for our brothers and sisters here and in Israel.
Please welcome last year's Next Gen Award recipient, Ben Strolowitz.
This year's award goes to a remarkable young couple who exemplified dedication, innovation, and compassion in all that they do. Running with Team Sharsheret, offering peer support to others in need, and serving on the board of directors. Their profound impact is advancing Sharsheret's mission and enriching the lives of many in our shared hometown of Englewood. Please turn your attention to the screen for Sydney and Daniel Silverman's incredible story of resilience and how modern science helped them pave the way for a brighter tomorrow for their family.
When I was 43 years old, my 2 girls were very young at the time. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And as it turned out, I tested positive for the BRCA gene mutation. I remember the bathroom just spinning around me and my world was crashing in on me.
When I was about 18 years old, my parents sat me down and told me and my sister that my mom carried the BRCA mutation and that there was a 50-50 chance that we carried it as well. I got tested right after Daniel and I got engaged, and it came out that I actually tested positive for a BRCA mutation.
With knowledge comes power, but with that positive gene mutation came a whole lot of guilt that I unknowingly passed it on to her.
I always knew about Sharsheret from my mom's involvement, and it was after I tested positive that I really learned about all the resources and offerings that Sharsheret had and how I could potentially utilize that for my path down the road. During the pandemic, my doctor postponed my annual visit, and not having that set time to see my doctor scared me. I wanted to take matters into my own hands and move forward with the prophylactic mastectomy.
Lana and I were really proud of the kids after a little bit more than 1 year of marriage that they made this monumental decision. They did it with a lot of research and courage, and they handled it with such grace.
I knew my first call had to be Sharsheret. I was put in touch with a social worker, and she then put me in touch with other women across the US and Israel who had my doctor so I could talk to them about their experience.
Sharsheret was so helpful to me as a caregiver to be a sounding board, to be a source of support, and to be able to advise on best practices. More than anything though, there are people who can relate to the experience you're going through both as patient and as caregiver. Sydney and I had already known about IVF, but through reading Sharsheret materials, we learned about PGT-M, which gave us the possibility of eliminating the BRCA mutation from our bloodline.
IVF with PGT-M is a combination of two wonderful technologies that we've been blessed with in our generation. We take in vitro fertilization and we compound it with testing the embryo. It affords us the ability to differentiate between embryos that might be affected with a genetic disease and those embryos that are normal or unaffected.
It was needles and doctor's appointments every morning and follow-ups and expensive medication. It wasn't an easy process on my body at all. And on top of that, I decided to undergo this in between my prophylactic mastectomy and my reconstructive surgery. So we were very fortunate, and out of the 8 viable embryos that were sent off to testing, 4 of them were negative. After healing from my reconstructive surgery, we decided to transfer an embryo, and unfortunately, it did not result in a positive pregnancy.
Sydney and Daniel never gave up. They never quit believing. Despite everything surrounding them and all the other procedures that they had to do, they persevered, and then at their second transfer, they were blessed with success. A BRCA negative, healthy embryo and child.
Knowing when I look at her that she doesn't have the BRCA mutation, it lights up my world. My heart is living outside of my body at this point. I can't put it into words, the joy that I feel when I look at her.
It happens to be exactly almost to the day my 20th year of being diagnosed and being cancer-free. How lucky am I? But most importantly, Sharsheret gave me, my granddaughter Maya, the opportunity to be born without the BRCA gene mutation. And that is such a gift and a true blessing.
As we embarked on our journey for both Sydney's surgeries as well as IVF and PGT, we decided to really deepen our involvement in Sharsheret. The value that Sharsheret brings and the importance that Sharsheret has within our community is absolutely impossible to overstate. I decided to get more and more involved and ultimately join the board of Sharsheret to contribute in any small way that I can to this incredible mission. Looking back at this process, the feeling I could say I feel more than anything else is blessed. Blessed we live at a time in the world where modern medicine has made both the surgeries as well as IVF and PGT possible. Blessed that we have an unbelievable support system in our families and friends. Blessed that we have each other, and blessed that Sharsheret has been there with us every step of the journey.
it is my great pleasure to present the Next Gen Award. Please welcome Sydney, Daniel, and their daughter, Maya.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for supporting Sharsheret, and a special thank you to Sherry Helfand Wiener. Please remember to help make the match tonight, supporting our brothers and sisters here and in Israel now, needed more than ever. May all of our prayers for the safety of Israel be answered. Throughout the evening, you can approach Alana, Dina, or me to learn more about your impact and support. And now, please enjoy the barbecue dinner.